Episode motherfucking 30! 30 episodes. That's kind of cool. I feel good about it. It's a personal milestone. Let's get this show on the road. Wow. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another phenomenal week in wrestling. Lots of shit is... I'm telling you, man, I'm having such a great time doing this. I mean... Honestly, I couldn't have picked a better time to do a podcast because, there's so much awesome stuff to talk about, every single week now. All these shows are running on 4 cylinders. It looks like NXT is getting a kick in the pants with the infusion of a lot of main roster talent who were NXT guys. The NXT UK talent. A lot of great things are going on there. SmackDown is becoming one of my favorite shows to watch in the week next to Dynamite. Raw is actually getting up there. I mean, 3 hours is still too freaking long, but watching the condensed version on YouTube is really, it makes it a lot better. Definitely. I would recommend it to everyone to watch the Hulu version. I don't think I could ever watch Raw live. Unless something super important was going to go down, then maybe, but otherwise, yeesh. You got AEW. They're starting to reinvigorate. We got guys coming in that were injured. Punk, Danielson are back. Omega's back. You have the finale of the Trios tournament happening at All Out. Pretty much looks like it's the writing's on the wall. It's going to be Hangman Page and the Dark Order versus Kenny Omega and the Bucks. That's going to be an amazing match. We just found out that at the buy-in or the pre-show or 0 hour, whatever the hell they're calling it, Ishii is going to fight Eddie Kingston. That's going to be awesome. You got Powerhouse. We'll go through the card for All Out a little bit later, but I got to tell you guys right now that the stuff going on with Sami Zayn and the Bloodline is some of the best shit I'm watching right now. I am totally invested. I 100% think that it's going to be Sammy and KO. They're going to take the belts off of the Usos. I think that'd be the coolest thing ever. I cannot wait to watch and see that actually happen. It's going to be a bonkers match. I have a strong feeling that Drew's going to take the title at Clash. I mean, it's in the UK. Drew's a UK guy. They've been doing this whole, build-up and biography and shit. I mean, listen, Roman's had the title for long enough. I feel at a certain point in time, it's going to be Cody versus Roman, but I think that's going to take a side road to Roman versus The Rock. So, and I don't think you want to blow off Cody and Roman for the title, not at WrestleMania. And they only have 2 big shows. They have Survivor Series and they have the Royal Rumble and until Mania. I mean, they have all these smaller shows in between, which I'm not really sure how those are going to be booked going forward because I feel I don't know. I mean, I guess it's just a way that you could put title matches on a regular basis and not have them take up TV time, which I guess is pretty cool because I like my title matches with no commercial interruption. So the fact that WWE has those monthly events, at least in terms of their main event matches, at least it's it works out in terms of structuring the match. But storylines, that's got to be a pain in the ass. You know what I mean? The benefit of having that 4 pay-per-view a year thing is that you could kind of treat pay-per-views like a season finale to an arc of stories that you've been building. And whether or not you're going to have stories that are going to continue on to the next season, which is the build to the next pay-per-view. I mean, then you make that decision. But to be quite honest, and I was thinking about this the other day, I feel I'm very curious at what percentage of wrestling fans are TV junkies. You know what I mean? those who are like always watching television shows and long-term storytelling. You know what I mean? Like, I'm curious as to what wrestling fandom's exposure is to storytelling outside of wrestling. You know what I mean? Like, I know that there was a lot of commotion about last week's Dynamite and the ending of the Moxley versus Punk match, but it's like, in a vacuum, it looked pretty bad. I mean, you squash Punk in 3 minutes, and then you have Moxley win, like, holy shit. But then you see the promos that they kind of cut tonight, and it felt like they were trying to build a story, and this is the story that they're going with. And I can understand if people don't like the story, but, like, I feel like when it comes to this kind of stuff, especially for Tony, being that he's only been Booker for 3 years, so I feel like, I mean, now, for me personally, as someone who likes to fantasy book, or at least like to try and accurately predict what's going to happen, I feel like Tony's been throwing a lot of curveballs. Like, there's a lot of things that I'm sure he's going to be doing this. And then he just does something, like, completely different. And, like, most of the time it works. You know what I mean? Like, some of the times it doesn't, but most of the time it works. So it's like, you know, he still has, like, good faith with me, and, like, when something happens that's a little, I'm more willing to say, well, let's see what happens. You know what I mean? Like, let's see what happens as this goes down. Like, the whole thing with Liv Morgan at SummerSlam with Ronda, and the way that she won, and then the way that the crowd reacted, and the way that she reacted, like, that I knew, like, outside of a vacuum, like, her winning the belt from Ronda like that was not doing anybody any favors. So, you know, like, I just feel like things need time. Like, I am interested in the match that she's going to have with Shayna, because I'm interested in Shayna, and it'd be interesting to see how they're going to, like, if they're going to have Liv drop, I'd be like, wow, they're really course correcting. But if she wins, I'm curious to see as to how she wins. I mean, I'm going to assume it's going to be a roll-up win, but I'm very curious to see as to how she's going to pull that off. So, like, you know, like I said, like, I'm giving Triple H right now, like, the benefit of the doubt. Like, in the beginning, I was like, yo, like, this is not good for Ronda, but this is really more, like, Vince's error, so I can't really, like, fault Triple H for that kind of shit. But, yeah, you know, I mean, I just feel like you just need to give storylines some time. And even if what happens doesn't really, even if how you predict it doesn't really happen that way, like, it's not to say that something else down the line will be just as good or better. Now, listen, I get it. Like, this is like the same kind of argument that, you know, like Hollywood does with a lot of movies nowadays. And they're like, oh, we're going to take artistic freedom. Like the new Resident Evil show, for example, like that show was dog shit. You know what I mean? Like, I don't understand how hard it is to take source material that was proven to be good, proven to have a fan base of millions, and just give that fan base what they want. You know what I mean? Like, then you take those 2 million or so fans of this particular franchise, give them what they want, have them rave about it online and tell all their friends, and then you make extra money that way. Like, I don't understand why this hasn't been explored yet. I mean, unless Hollywood is, like, deliberately like, hey, listen, we're going to come up with 4 or 5 years of our own bullshit, and then we're going to come out with the real thing. And they'll just buy every single, you know, movie that we make. Who knows? All I'm saying is in summary, like, wrestling is phenomenal right now. There's so many awesome things that are going on. Like, I have something to look forward to, like, multiple days a week in terms of wrestling. My Mondays are filled. My Tuesdays are now filled. Actually, my Tuesdays are going to depend on how much I enjoy Worlds Collide and what kind of stories they set up and how good the matches are and if they could get me invested in people again. Because I took a hardcore break after guys like after Triple H like kind of left and it stopped being black and gold and they did the NXT 2.0. Like, I was done after that. So guys that they've been building up right now, like Carmelo Hayes was like just coming out into the scene right when I stopped watching, so I never got to see much of his build. Yeah, you know, I know. There we go. Yes. All right, so we got Voyle in the chat. Raw this week was So was SmackDown last week with the optimism is so that, like, it's getting better. Like, I won't say it's awesome. Like, I will say that, like, Sammy and the Usos and the Bloodline and everything Roman related is, like, top tier. I like the fact that Ricochet is winning. I'm pray to God that this is I'm done with Happy Corbin. It's a stupid fucking name. It's a dumb fucking gimmick. I don't like it. Like, it's not cool. It's not fun. I don't like it. You know? I hope he goes back to being like the lone wolf and that kind of like badass and shit. So, oh my God. Gargano being on Raw. I mean, it looks like he's gonna feud with Austin Theory. By the way, the stuff that's going on with Matt Riddle and Rollins is awesome. Awesome. They did kind of like a spoof, kind of like John Jones Cormier, like the mics were still on after the interview, and like Rollins like threw fucking Riddle under the bus about like being divorced and his kids don't even want to see him and all this shit. And Riddle saying there's one man in the family and that's Becky Lynch. So like these two are gonna tear each other's heads off. Gunther and Sheamus, that's gonna be awesome. Clash at the Castle is gonna be a great show. Anyone who's a wrestling fan should 100% watch it. It looks like it's going to be a phenomenal show. You know, like, yeah, there are lots of good things happening on every show. You're 100% correct. There's lots of good things happening on every show, which is great because then as fans, we win. And then I have to try and figure out where I'm going to spend all my money. You know what I mean? Because God forbid I start buying WWE merch again. Holy fuck. Anywho, let's review Dynamite. I thought Dynamite was fantastic tonight. Lots of good shit was going down. The show starts off with Moxley coming out. He got booed. They cheered for Punk. There were some Moxley chants, you know, definitely. He basically was kind of like shitting all over. He was shitting all over Punk. He was burying him, saying that he was weak. He had no heart. He doesn't deserve to be champ. I won because I'm the better man. Blah, blah, blah. He said that Punk looked for a way out last week. He gave up. Real champions never fold. He said that Punk had a fragile ego, a fragile mind, and a fragile body, and a fragile spirit. Then he put an open contract that he already signed. He put that paperwork in the middle of the ring and walked out. After that, Ace Steel, who's CM Punk's trainer, he runs out to the ring, grabs the contract, and takes it out. I think Mox is having the run of like an awesome run right now. I'm loving the matches that he's having. He had that awesome match with Takeshita. He had an awesome match with Jericho. He's gonna have an awesome match with Punk. Like the promos he's cutting are awesome. Like him being this like I will steamroll everybody who gets in my way. I am the best pure wrestling champion ever, and no one could beat me. I'm loving it. I'm loving it to the point where I actually hope that Mox retains against Punk, and then this is just a catalyst for Punk to go heel. Granted, I think the eventual money match is between MJF and Punk for the title, which would mean Punk would kind of have to beat Mox for the belt. But to be quite honest, what's that going to do to Mox? Mox is on fire right now. He still could have awesome matches. He could just do more shit not having the belt because he could pretty much challenge whoever. And it's not going to be like, why the fuck is this guy getting a title match? It could just be Mox just killing people. So, if they're not going to give Mox the belt and have him retain on Sunday, then you better have a pretty awesome feud lined up for him because you shouldn't like just leave him be and not give him something to sink his teeth into. He's too hot of a commodity. Just have him sit on the shelf. Same thing with Danielson. Danielson deserves better. I'm hoping that, I guess this whole thing that was going on with the Jericho Appreciation Society was leading to him fighting Jericho. But I do hope that something bigger is for him on the horizon. Jericho was backstage with Shivani. Jericho claimed that the match between him and Danielson is going to be a nightmare for Danielson. He said that Stu and Owen Hart would be impressed how Jericho changed the game, how he's always been able to reinvent himself. So as he was talking, Garcia goes up to Jericho, said he was sorry for last week, said he was like immature, and then he believed in Jericho, and he said that he could beat Danielson with no tricks, that he believes in him, that he's the better wrestler. And then Jericho said, yeah, on Sunday it is just going to be me and Danielson. But until then, everything was fair game, which kind of alluded to the fact that Jericho was going to do something underhanded to Danielson ahead of the pay-per-view. And it looks like Garcia was kind of wise to that act and was very curious as to Jericho's reaction. We got Danielson defeating Jake Hager. You had Chris Jericho on commentary, and I think you had William Regal on commentary. This was more of like they try to mix a lot of MMA stuff into there. You know, you had Danielson with those kicks and trying to grapple. They definitely had some wrestling moves with Danielson hitting a top rope suicida. Hager actually put Danielson through the timekeeper's cable. I think that was like right before commercial break. Danielson hits him with a missile drop kick, starts doing hard kicks on Hager. Really, really hard hitting match. Hits the Busaiku knee and finishes him. After the match is over, you see Daddy Magic and Angela Parker come down to the ring. They start to attack Danielson. You have Yuta and Castagnoli come out. They try to make the save. Danielson was alone in the ring with Jericho. Jericho had a chair. Then you had Garcia run down, grab the chair from Jericho, and Jericho gets hit with the Busaiku knee and gets laid out. And Jericho, and that was pretty much it. Garcia knew that he kind of fucked up after that, so I'm very curious as to how their match is going to end up and whether or not it's going to be, if it's going to be some sort of tomfoolery going on at the pay-per-view. This particular segment I didn't get because I'm not really a fan of any of the people that were involved. The Wingmen came out. They said that they should be booked more often. W. Morrissey's music hits, who was formerly known as Big Cass, 7 feet tall. You can't teach that guy, you know. It looks like he signed with AEW. He destroyed all the Wingmen, and Stokely Hathaway came down to the ring, gave him his business card. Morrissey walks out with Hathaway. Shivani tries to get an explanation from Stokely. Stokely basically threatens Shivani and says it's none of your damn business. So that was pretty much it. Don Callis greets Will Ospreay. He basically gives Ospreay an underhanded comment saying he's not the guy who lost to the One-Winged Angel in tag team match in New Japan. Ospreay didn't take too kindly to that. We had a match, women's match. Toni Storm and Hikaru Shida defeat Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter with Rebel. They, not gonna lie, these are the 4 women that are gonna fight for the interim AEW women's title now that Thunder Rosa is injured. And apparently she's still the champ, so this is for the interim belt. I would love to see Hayter come away with the win. And they turn her babyface and she goes on a good run. And then Thunder Rosa comes back as like the champ and the biggest test for Hayter. And then Hayter wins the undisputed belt. I think that would be pretty cool. Chances are they'll probably give the belt to Britt because I think they need to start building ratings. And Britt was pretty much the only compelling character that the women's division had. So, and especially if it's possible that they might make Jade lose the belt to Athena at All Out. It would be nice to have like a champion that could talk on the mic and has some presence. So if they're going to have both Jade and Britt as champs, that would be great because I think it puts a better spotlight in the women's division. I think they hold the titles better. Though that still leaves a problem for the rest of the women's division that you really, really only have 2 women that could carry these belts for a long period of time and people not necessarily get bored. The run that Jade is going on, I don't really hear or see anyone complaining. You know, the reign that Britt was going on was awesome. It was the people who took the belt after her, like Thunder Rosa. Thunder Rosa, like, her title win was great. But then after that, like, she really wasn't doing too much with the belt. Like, she wasn't really getting into good feuds. I mean, I thought the feud that she was having with Serena Deeb, I thought was pretty good. But the interesting part of that feud was Serena Deeb. I think the unfortunate part for Thunder Rosa is that like I feel like she doesn't cut as compelling a promo as I would like, and I don't know if it's maybe because she's still trying to get a better grasp on the English language because you could tell she's got it but doesn't have quite a firm grasp on it yet, which definitely like will always come into play with a promo that you have to cut entirely in English, that you want to keep cohesive and compelling. So, definitely, like, that's got to be a thing. But, like, I don't know, like I said, like, AEW has a problem when it comes to booking their champions after they win the belt. And I think that's partly because they don't know how to build title contenders for the belt, except for the ones that they already have booked to win the belt. You could always tell when someone's going to win the belt because they actually get booked as a credible contender. But they don't book any other contenders to be credible. They don't have any worthwhile matches winning, except for maybe on Dark or maybe on Elevation. But like those matches, I'm already taught not to believe as matches I should take seriously. They're just dark undercard matches for green wrestlers. So them beating a bunch of nobodies doesn't prove anything to me. They have to beat guys who are established. They have to beat guys who are impressive. And they're not beating anybody, both the men and the women. So it's like, I feel like the women's division in AEW, like, it really just needs some more star quality talent. I think women like Toni Storm, definitely. I would like to see, like, them give Penelope Ford a push. I mean, I would like to see, let me rephrase that. I'd like to see what Penelope Ford could do with a brighter spotlight on her. And then I want to see how she handles that. And if so, she would be a great women's champion. I mean, she could cut a promo. She has a great look. I just want to see how she carries herself in, like, longer matches and stuff like that. I mean, I do enjoy watching her wrestle and shit, but I just want to, but like, before I get behind someone for a championship reign, I kind of want to see a little bit more. But, like Hayter also, like, I haven't really seen much of her. They don't really have her cut very many promos. She's always kind of standing off to the side with Britt. Everyone knows that she cuts great matches. They've been having this will they, won't they kind of tit for tat thing between her and Britt for forever. Like, what's going to happen? It's been going on for years. Like, Britt has had this entourage with her for a long time. So, I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. But it was, it was a pretty solid match. It's really hard to get a bad match out of these four women. They're all pretty much experienced wrestlers. I like Hikaru Shida. Just, again, she can't really cut a promo, so you really have to book her in a way that makes her compelling without her really having to talk too much. Otherwise, have her come out with a charismatic interpreter, and have her speak in Japanese, and have the interpreter translate. Like a guy like an Alex Abrahantes, you know what I'm saying? Like, he does translations for the Lucha Brothers, but I am inclined to listen to what he has to say because, number one, he's telling me what the Lucha Brothers are saying, but number two, like, he's a compelling person. Like, he puts some gusto behind his interpretation. So I'd like to see someone with personality just do translating for, wrestlers who can't speak English very well to, preserve their character. They should be allowed to speak their native language in the force and verve that they feel like in that language, and then just have it translated by someone who could, like, emulate that. So, I don't know. We'll see. They did a recap video of Kip Sabian attacking Pac. It's been I guess it's been a thing with them. Kip Sabian's been showing up at all these places that Pac has been defending the belt. It looks like it's going to be Kip Sabian versus Pac for the All-Atlantic title at All Out. Miro cut a promo about him wanting to destroy the House of Black. Darby Allin came and said that Brody King and Buddy Matthews didn't need Malachi Black, but he needed them. Sting said that the enemy of his enemy was his friend, and it looks like it's going to be Miro, Sting, and Darby Allin versus the House of Black at All Out. Now here we go. We got CM Punk comes down to the ring. He says he got beat up in Cleveland. It wasn't the first time he got beat up there, which I think references UFC lost. Oh. Hey, Jordan's in the chat. What's up, buddy? And Punk said that while his foot wasn't 100%, he says he has returned. I thought he said, I have learned. I was like, ooh, boy, if Jordan's learned something, I definitely want to know. Welcome back, my friend. Everyone, props to Jordan in the chat. CM Punk basically said his foot wasn't 100%. He wasn't sure he was ready. He rushed back. He let himself and his fans and his family down. You got Ace Steel come down to the ring, basically tells Punk this wasn't the Punk that he knew, and that Punk didn't let the fans down, and he said he wasn't going to let Punk leave now. Punk needs to... Oh, yeah, he dropped an F-bomb on TV. They didn't even bleep that out. I was like, holy shit. He basically said he needs to get up off his ass and sign the open contract and fight Jon Moxley. Punk got fired up, saying that the day he was born, he was blue in the face with the cord around his neck. People were trying to kill him ever since. Moxley wasn't man enough to kill him. He basically jumps into the crowd with the contract, promised Chicago that he was going to win the title for them, signs the contract in the middle of all his hometown crowd. This crowd went freaking ballistic. It was actually pretty cool. I got pretty excited because this whole Melancholy Punk thing was bullshit. Seeing them all fired up, I'm like, all right, let's go. Like, let's see what's the, let's see what the dealio is. Jungle Boy and Christian Cage have a sit down with Jim Ross. Not gonna lie, like I've had my issues with Jungle Boy in terms of his promos, but like this one wasn't his worst. And he basically said that he wasn't gonna fight Jungle Boy on Sunday. He was gonna fight Jack Perry. So maybe this is finally the dropping of Jungle Boy and the beginning of Jack Perry, which I'm hoping is an evolution for his character, because I'm pretty sure I had told someone earlier today that he was NXT 2.0 material. They had a trios match. FTR and Wardlow defeat Silas Young, Ren Jones, and Vic Capri. It was pretty much a squash match just to show that they're in it to win it. And they're going to fight Jay Lethal and the Motor City Machine Guns. Oh, let's say, Cena and Ciampa, Punk needed Rocky Style on the ground speech to get fired up. Steve Bennett was so weird. Yeah. Oh, him having that speech because he was champ. Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, like what? Like he came back from injury. I don't know. It's a whole. Let me just make sure I read this correctly. Yeah, but he had to do something. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't understand. Like, I felt like they could have told the same story, but just hold off on the title match. You know what I mean? Like, they could have held off on the promo until this week, popped a rating, Mox and Punk face to face before All Out. And I felt like that would have been worth it. You know what I mean? But they decided to go with Punk getting injured. And I'm assuming this is a part of a greater whole. Because right now, in the vacuum of things, like, I just don't understand why they had Punk lose to Mox. Underdog, yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I just don't, I have to see where this ends up to know if how it got there was worth it. Because, like I said, I was betting money on Punk was going to beat Mox. Mox was literally just going to be the guy that they use as the interim champ. And then MJF comes back, challenges him for a title shot. Punk accepts or whatever. And it was going to be Punk versus MJF at All Out, and then MJF wins. But it didn't go down that way. So I was very shocked when they had Punk lose in fucking 3 minutes. Like, I was like, holy shit. I just didn't see that coming. So, I don't know. Like, this has to culminate at All Out, unless this is a bigger part of a greater story that's going on with the world title, which I have to assume involves MJF at some point. So, I don't know. I'm very curious. But that's a good point that you make, that, he had like an underdog speech, but he literally was the champion a week ago. I think you're right. Maybe it's a screw job finish. Maybe MJF helps Moxley win and screws Punk. That could be it. I don't know. I'm very curious. It could go a lot of different ways. But you know what? I like that I don't know. I like that I could think of a regular thing. Like, I could think of, like, surefire booking, or I could think of something off the beaten path booking, and I'm not really sure how it's going to end up. I kind of like that. A lot. Moxley came back out to the ring after the FTR match. Basically said he promised to take CM Punk out in front of his hometown fans. He said Punk's going to need a miracle to beat him on Sunday. He said he was going to make Punk experience more violence than he ever has in his career. I mean, they're going to beat the living crap out of each other. It's going to be awesome. You had 10, aka, Preston Vance, aka 10. Eva Uno were backstage. You have 10 in a brace and crutches, saying that he hurt his Vance hurt his knee in the match last week. Evil Uno was going to take his place. Then you see Andrade El Idolo and Jose walk into the locker room. Andrade tries to get 10 and Uno to work for him. They try and give him money. They throw it in his face. Andrade beats the shit out of both of them. Beats them up with the 10's crutches and pretty much takes him out. They had a four-way match. Wheeler with four guys who were going to be in the Casino Battle Royal match. Wheeler Yuta, Rey Fenix, Rush, and Dante Martin go in a four-way. Pretty awesome match. It ended with Yuta getting the seatbelt on Dante Martin for the win. Shivani is backstage interviewing John Silver and Alex Reynolds. They said that they were going to do what they could, shorter man, and then because they didn't have Uno or 10 at this point because they were both taken out. Hangman Page walks in and offered to be their partner, and he wanted to make sure that Dark Order got the success they deserved for being his friend. So it looks like on Rampage, it's going to be Hangman Page and the Dark Order versus the Best Friends to see who fights Kenny Omega and the Elite to be the first AEW Trios champs. Rampage is shaping up to be that match. QT Marshall versus Ricky Starks. Sammy Guevara and Tay Mello are fighting Ortiz and Ruby Soho again. Okay. AEW All Out 0 Hour, which is the pre-show, is going to be Eddie Kingston versus Tomohiro Ishii, which is going to be an amazing match. The AEW All Atlantic Championship, Pac versus Kip Sabian, and Hook versus Angelo Parker with the FTW title on the line. All Out so far is Bryan Danielson versus Chris Jericho. The AEW Women's World Championship, interim title, World Championship, I don't know, it's being tossed all over the place. Toni Storm versus Britt Baker versus Hikaru Shida versus Jamie Hayter. A trios match, Miro, Darby Allin, and Sting versus the House of Black. The TBS title's on the line. Jade Cargill defends against Athena. Jungle Boy Jack Perry versus Christian Cage in a grudge match. FTR and Wardlow versus Jay Lethal and the Motor City Machine Guns in a trios match. The Casino ladder match, which is going to have Claudio Castagnoli, Wheeler Yuta, Pentagon, Rey Fenix, Rush, Andrade, and there's one other person who we don't know. We got Ricky Starks versus Powerhouse Hobbs in a grudge match. The Trios Championship Tournament Finals, which we all kind of assume is going to be Hangman and Dark Order versus Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks. The AW World title is on the line. CM Punk in a rematch against Jon Moxley. The AW Tag Team titles are on the line. Swerve in our Glory versus the Acclaimed. Dynamite next week. The ROH Pure title is going to be on the line. Wheeler Yuta versus Daniel Garcia. So I'm curious whether or not that's going to exchange hands. And it's going to be Daniel Garcia's time to hold the belt. The main event of the night was awesome. A trios match that a lot of people have been waiting to see. The Elite, Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks against the United Empire, which is Will Ospreay versus and Aussie Open. It was noticeable that Omega does not have the shoulder brace on. I can only assume that little by little he's going to lose each of those appendages. First was the brace, next was the shirt. First is the brace, and next is going to be the shirt. So, and then he'll be back to his old self. And he looked his old self tonight, man. He was tearing that shit up with Will Ospreay tonight, guys. It was amazing. Don Callis was on commentary. An amazing match, back and forth, spots all over the place. I won't bore you with the details, but basically it ended up being Omega hitting the One-Winged Angel on one of the members of Aussie Open. 1, 2, 3, pin. And Omega and the Bucks advanced to All Out to the AEW Trio Championship Tournament Finals, who will face the winner of Hangman Adam Page and Dark Order versus Best Friends. And which we all know how that's going to end up. And it's going to make for a phenomenal story because I'm pretty sure Kenny's going to end up getting a little bit of that wing back from Hangman. And they're all going to be haha and chummy and give each other big hugs and smoochies. So, yeah, that is it for tonight's show. Next week, we will have the review for Clash at the Castle. We will have the review for All Out. We will have the review for the post pay-per-view Raw, post pay-per-view NXT, and the post pay-per-view Dynamite. So I am so screwed. There's way too much to talk about on one show. If you get a notification on either Monday or Tuesday of a show, then I had decided to add another show to the week. So we will see. But I want to thank for the participation in the chat. Thanks to Jordan. Thanks to Richie. Thanks to Royal for your for tuning in. I appreciate your support. I will see you guys after the pay-per-view weekend next week. Fans, enjoy. It's going to be a great weekend of wrestling. Take care.